Does Zanu-PF believe in democracy and the freedom of expression, which the MDC and many protesters tried to exercise this week?
There is a host of freedoms that are enshrined in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and Zanu-PF believes in them. But what we must be clear of is that these rights are not absolute only to those that are in the opposition and those that are in urban areas. They should not, when somebody decides to express his right or to exercise his constitutional right, that should not impede or impinge on the rights of the other people. And this is what we have seen in the past.
Mr. Mandaza, are you saying that the MDC opposition has a history of protesting violently, and that is why the courts sought to ban these protests before they even took place?
MDC and the opposition, the other opposition, including the civic organizations in Zimbabwe, have a track record of calling for demonstrations that have always turned violent. But besides that...
But who was dishing out the violence?
But besides that, let me explain further on the current situation that we have. When MDC sought to have the demonstrations, they were given the permission to do so. And they were going to demonstrate because demonstrations are allowed in Zimbabwe. But what the ZRP, that is the Zimbabwe Republic Police, which is the regulator system authority in Zimbabwe, has the responsibility to make sure that there is peace and order in Zimbabwe. And in the run-up to the demonstrations that were supposed to be taking place last week on Friday, there was the vice president of MDC said that they would organize a march where people were going to to overthrow the government of Emerson Mnangagwa. Secondly, when just before the 16th, the MDC was stashing catapults and pebbles in strategic positions in town. And it is for that reason that they sought to come up with the prohibition order.
Surely these prohibition orders cannot circumvent the rights enshrined in the Constitution. Otherwise, it's a continual loophole for the governing party and the government to use to suppress peaceful demonstration or any demonstration.
Peaceful demonstration and any demonstration, as you put it, they will be allowed in Zimbabwe. And they are allowed in the Constitution. Because the Constitution...
But it hasn't been, Mr. Mandaza. It hasn't been.
There have never been any, so far of late, we have not seen any peaceful demonstration.
The visuals I saw, and that I'm sure you saw, are of women being beaten with batons, and there's not a single catapult in any of their hands. That's the problem, Mr. Mandaza.
Like I've said, I'm not talking about catapults that people had. Because what happened on the 16th, there were people that were being dispersed who had come together illegally. The catapults and the pebbles were seen before. And they were splashed all over in the media and on the social media. And on this particular day, we cannot categorically say that the people that had walked into Harare had no weapons. We cannot categorically say that.
Do you condemn the way in which the security forces dealt with the protesters?
Zanu-PF and anyone condemns the excessive use of power when dispersing demonstrators. But let me also say that the demonstration was not supposed to be taking place, so it was illegal. And it was the responsibility of the police to disperse the people. Having said that, we do not condone, we do not allow people to use excessive power. But under any circumstance, in order to restore order, you must use force which is commensurate with the demonstrations, that the response that you get from the demonstrators. It remains debatable whether there is, the regulatory authority used excessive power or not.